I mean, can you talk a little bit more enthusiastically though?
Wait.
Bro, I'm kidding. That didn't even come out bad.
You know, he kind of meant it too. You could hear it in his voice.
How the fuck am I supposed to be enthusiastic about like double checking our shit? How am I supposed to be like all uppity about that shit?
No, I just meant like your voice in general. Yeah, you dumbass. No, but back to Narcos. I thought the season was okay, but I'm just like, all right, just show El Chapo as like the big guy. Here, use the napkin way.
I was like, definitely use El Chapo's the big guy, but
Just
like,
fucking pour 3 full glasses. Let's get rid of the bottle.
that's what I'm saying.
That we're not fucking halfway through. We're like, oh, bro, you want... And then we're making more noise. Yeah. Poor Juan.
Juan, what's your middle name, bro?
I have none.
Alberto.
You have none?
Nah.
You don't have a middle name?
No,
Is this
I
straight
don't.
Juan Barbosa?
Yeah.
Can we give you a nickname? A middle name?
I don't think so. I don't think I like what you come up with.
Did your parents just get like lazy or tired, or they're like?
I'm like Juan Barbosa the second or third or some shit.
Oh,
I know that I have a.
Do you have like a second or third last name?
Oh, I guess yeah. I mean, everyone does, but like
I have like
I
4
don't.
last
Like
names.
on
I
your,
don't
on
use
your,
it. No,
on
I
your
don't
stuff?
use it. No.
Oh.
Like it's not on your birth certificate?
Nah. Junior's on my birth certificate.
Wait, it's literally Juan Barbosa Jr.?
Damn right.
Like the word junior? That's
That's
pretty
Damn
funny.
right, homie.
Yeah, because your fiance always calls it Junior. And it always
She
throws
does.
me off. She's like, Junior. And I was like, he's a grown fucking man. Like,
If anything, that's
Sí, no
low
sé,
key
no
like
conozco adulto.
yeah.
that low key has become like the middle name equivalent. But only like my very close family ever calls me that because nobody ever knows this shit except for now you guys and the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Now everybody knows. Fuck you.
Hello, beautiful people.
Welcome to Bro Taste This.
When we break down wine, we talk about Luis's digestive issues and Juan's political issues. And I'm a great listener.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
No, bro, do it again. Do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Do it again. All right.
Wait.
This what word? I'm gonna leave that in.
Shut the fuck up. All right.
Bro,
Start it
Mexican, it's
again.
cool.
You're good. We're rolling.
All right. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Bro Taste This, where we break down wine, food, news, and our childhood trauma. I am Juan Legend. Joining me is Jay motherfucking May, as well as Luis Pablo today.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Thank you for asking, Luis. I'm glad you asked. This week we're going to be talking about the events that took place at Astroworld, Aaron Rodgers and his 500 pages of research, and shining light on men's mental health and health overall.
Astroworld, more like Afterworld. Am I right, guys?
Damn. I mean, that's what TikTok was saying.
Dude, bro, honestly,
Damn.
let's get right into it, bro.
Yeah, honestly.
Wine, what are we drinking?
3 words. Devil, Illuminati, Donald Trump.
Confirmed.
Hollywood.
Confirmed, bro.
So, like, 5 words.
You cannot tell me that shit was not all planned and he sacrificed those people to get a #1 album.
I mean, that makes
Bro,
sense to me.
all the facts are there.
Oh.
Open your eyes, dude.
Did you see all that occult symbolism?
Dude, the mouth opening to the gates of hell are the same ones.
See you on the other side? What else is that supposed to mean?
And we all know that Travis Scott is demonic because of his music.
Damn right.
You listen to Sicko Mode a couple times, bro. You feel like doing some shit.
You kind of feel like hurting somebody.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
Son of a bitch, dude.
Yeah.
What wine are we drinking today?
Oh, Beaujolais.
Yeah, today we're going to be drinking Beaujolais Village Special Selection. This particular one is made by the winemaker Jean-Claude Debonne, and it is the vintage 2020.
What'd you call me?
That shit fire.
Damn, that shit gas, B.
This particular wine is
This
made
shit
with
potent.
100% Gamay grapes.
What'd you call me?
The expectations for this grape, I'm going to read off a few things.
Please go ahead.
Oh, you know what? Actually, before I do that, so doesn't become a suggestive thing. Why don't you guys like taste it and then give us like brief tasting notes for it.
Oh, I tasted it. This thing's it's delicious, man.
Can I just say the shit is cold as fuck?
It's delicious.
Like, it's so cold. This is the coldest red wine I've ever had.
Yeah. Like
I'm not trying to be an asshole, but
but is this Pinot Noir?
bro, I might as well add more ice to it. Bro.
It is not that cold.
Bro, it's so cold.
It's cold to the touch, but it's warming up. It warms up fast.
It's like a red sangria.
Like I wish it wasn't so cold so I could taste it better.
No, it's good. It's good, bro.
No, it's really good though.
Yeah, what fruits would you guys say you taste in there though?
Oh, red fruits, man. You know those
red
berries,
fruits,
those berries,
red berries. All right,
blackberries. You know.
I get like some dark pit, like
But it's sweet.
like plum pit. You know.
Yeah. Good point.
You know, like that kind of.
Like it has like
plum skin, I should say.
And it has some tannins in there for a medium to light white or
very
medium to light
tannins.
red wine.
Yeah.
Because I feel that drying effect on the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very dark wine, but it's not very heavy.
Yeah.
It's very medium body.
This is
go ahead.
This is a very easy wine to drink.
I was about to say the same thing. Like for people who, you know, listen to this podcast who are like, I'm not really sure what to drink.
Get a Beaujolais.
Yeah, get a Beaujolais. Like it's not going to be sweet, but it'll have those fruit factors that you look for.
Right. Yeah.
And when you... No, go ahead. No, finish.
That you like look for when you're, you know, like when people first start drinking wine, they go to like Moscato or Riesling, like, or like the sweet reds, because you know that's probably the easiest to drink. But dude, like, this isn't hard to drink at all.
Mm-mm.
Definitely, like seems like a good step up to graduate from like a sweet red. 100%. If you consider yourself like somebody who likes like a red Moscato or Roscato, like those like sweet Italian reds, all that sort of stuff. Try the Beaujolais Village, like, or any level of Beaujolais, because apparently they come in 3 levels. They tend to be very fruit forward.
Very fruit forward.
As
really good.
You were saying as well, Jorge.
Yeah, no, very fruit forward, very good, and you look cool. Asking that guy at the wine stand, he was like, "Hey, do you have any Beaujolais?" Like, French.
Right.
It's a good French, easy to drink wine.
It's a sexy French word.
Yeah,
right,
Beaujolais. It just comes.
Just say that like 2 or
nice.
3 times in front of
exactly. Just walk in and be like, "Bonjour, bonsoir, bon après-midi. Je m'appelle Louis. I was wondering if you had the Beaujolais today." They're like, all right, you fucking.
All right, Toronto over here.
All right, you dirty Mexican.
Anyways,
you can't.
It was a good wine. You'll like it.
All right. Well, as I was saying earlier, this particular one is made by Jean-Claude Debonne. The vintage is, or the year is 2020.
Sorry, what was the name?
Jean-Claude Debonne.
What's
the movie
the middle
guy?
name? What was it?
Claude.
The guy from The Heart of Lion.
Yeah, like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
The guy from Expendables.
It was like his slightly uglier French cousin. That is.
You mean the muscles from Brussels, bro? Have some respect.
Damn right.
What is this?
What is what?
Why is it?
Anyways, before you guys
please go.
interrupted over here, the price on this wine happens to be $14. The expectations for these grape this grape are gonna be red berry, perfumey, very floral. The wine bursts on the palate with like some dark cherry or perhaps cassis and cocoa notes.
What's cassis?
Cassis is
a
dark purple fruit.
You ever tried one?
I have not. I've had creme de cassis though.
Yeah.
Like the liqueur that he's talking about.
Yeah. That's the only way. The reason that I know it.
Yeah, that's the only reason that I know. I haven't had that particular fruit, but I've had a shit ton of different liqueurs. So that's how I know that one.
Like creme.
I was gonna say Beaujolais is located on the southern tail of Burgundy. It's located just north of the city of Lyon. Its picturesque vineyards sit amidst rolling hills and run along the river Somme, where winemaking dates back to the time of the ancient Romans. The soils here are composed of mostly granite. The area has a slightly warmer climate than the rest of the Burgundy region.
Cool. No, it's a really good wine. Definitely, go get it, because if you drink wine, or if you want to start drinking wine, that's kind of my biggest thing, is go try something like this, and it's a nice step up for casual wine drinkers.
I was gonna say this actually happens to be like the recommendation for most casual wine drinkers. If you're having a party, if you're having a get together, if you just want some everyday wine that you want to keep around the house, this is the wine to go with that, because it's super light, super easy to drink. It almost drinks like alcoholic juice. It's super delicious. But yeah, it is a very good casual wine to keep around the house for get-togethers, parties, podcasts with 2 other friends, things like that.
2 other dirty Mexicans.
Whoa, what's up with the aggressiveness today, Pablo? Are you alright?
You know what?
Man, why are you always lumping this guy into Mexicans?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we all know that he's clearly not Mexican. From El Salvador.
I'm clearly Nigerian.
Oh, clearly. You know what that means? Breaking news. We are talking about Astroworld and the events that took place over the weekend. Gentlemen, can you tell me what your thoughts on the event was before I start going to the facts, or what you have heard about what happened?
The facts.
Yeah, the actual facts, not just the satanic bullshit.
Let's hear the facts first.
The facts first, okay.
I just want statements. I don't want explanations. I want statements.
Okay, statements.
Don't explain
Live
them.
Nation Entertainment are the ones that hold the event. They also do Lollapalooza and a couple other events like across the world. And they are pretty much known for their bad planning and bad security. Specifically, like I went to Lollapalooza this most recently, like a month or 2 ago. And yeah, I mean, people run in, they don't hire enough security. The safety checks are always way minimal. You can pretty much sneak in with anything. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And for Astroworld in general, the same thing happened, except on a much bigger scale. Like there wasn't enough security. A bunch of kids ran in because they wanted to go see Travis Scott, and specifically during Travis Scott performance was when the biggest incidents happened, and the biggest injuries was he was the only artist performing at once. So at that time, which makes sense because he's it's kind of his main event, but at the same time you have like 50,000 kids, not kids, but like, young adults, all
young
conglomerating
people.
At the same exact spot at the same location. So that's when they had 8 people die on Friday night, and hundreds more were injured. There was essentially like a stampede trying to go watch him, and it is the now 200 deaths and 750 injuries since Live Nation worldwide started doing events back in 2006, which, obviously if you're at a music festival, there's going to be injuries, but to the point where there's deaths and people aren't well controlled, that's just ridiculous. Travis Scott came out afterwards and, had a very soft ass, very bullshit apology. And I don't think he can't be victimized, but he has to be aware that like some of this shit does kind of rely on his shoulders.
What do you mean he can't be victimized?
Yeah, go ahead. Explain what you're saying.
Yeah, what does that mean? Like he can't be blamed? Is that
like he can't be fully blamed, but he also
So you think it's both their faults?
What's that? I think if he's the one doing the event, like it is Astroworld for a reason, like it's his thing, he has to know that, okay, I got to partner with the best security and the best entertainment group because people want to go see him.
Should he be canceled?
He shouldn't be canceled to the point where I'm seeing things like,
unfollow him.
Yeah, all that. Like, I don't think I think his apology could have been better. I think a black and white video where you're like groaning and moaning into the camera, like that's definitely not okay. Just because it looks so soft and he
looked like distracted the whole time.
Yeah, and he's like, oh man,
twirling with his hair. And stuff.
And it's like that looks worse than what actually happened. And like when you're, dude, it's difficult when you're at that event as a attendee to like maneuver around. So I can imagine like he's up there on stage doing the Fortnite dances, and you're not fully aware of what's going on because you just got somebody in your ear and you got the music in your ears. You're kind of like distracted, and he's trying to perform the whole time.
While reading for this story, did you guys come across how some incidents like this have happened with him in the past? Not to this level,
no.
But some other stuff has happened at his concerts. I was going to say, for example, Travis Scott was sentenced to 1 year of court supervision after pleading guilty to reckless conduct charges stemming from a 2015 incident in Chicago at the Lollapalooza Music Festival.
Yeah, this was at
the time, Chicago officials said Scott encouraged fans to vault security barricades. However, at that time, no one was injured. So essentially, Travis was like telling people like "fuck security," like try it. Like
he had a documentary that was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it still is, but it is it is very common for like rap concerts to be very intense and like a lot of mosh pitting. It's essentially the modern day rock stars.
I mean, that's not his intent.
He was literally said it, bro.
No, I'm saying not his intent to hurt, for people to get hurt.
I mean, but
dude, I think it kind of is,
you're the one.
Yeah,
you're the master of ceremonies of the concert, you know.
Yeah, but it's not his intent to harm people.
It's not his attempt to harm people, but it is his attempt to like.
He told people to try the security.
I think it's his lack of. No, it's his lack of awareness. That's not.
Nah, he literally got convicted, homie.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Yeah, that's
imagine
wrong.
how hard it is to get convicted.
I know, but you're saying
like
he's trying to you're saying it's like a form of like him saying that these people should be hurt.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that he was just careless enough to say, "Yo, you, my fans,
very careless.
Fuck these security, like get up here, let's party." That's like what he's going for, you know?
Yeah, careless.
Like be a rager, you know?
Yeah. But I'm saying his intent wasn't for people to get hurt, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's never their intent.
It doesn't have to be. You know that these thousands of people are gonna like fuck these 30 security guards up.
Bro, he's a rapper. You can't expect to put all this type of like pressure on this guy for.
Homie, like he's done it multiple times. Like let me keep reading because I didn't even get to finish. 2 years later, after the Chicago incident, he was accused of inciting a riot at the Walmart, Arkansas Music Pavilion in Rogers, Arkansas, after urging members of the crowd to rush the stage. He was literally doing what you're telling me he wasn't doing.
Yeah.
Several people were injured, including a security guard and a police officer. Scott pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, and he was ordered to pay court fees and restitution to 2 injured people. I'm going to keep going. Weeks later, a 23-year-old fan was partly paralyzed after allegedly being pushed from a 3rd-story balcony during a performance by Scott in New York City. A lawsuit filed by the fan faulting Scott for his injuries is still pending in court.
Wait.
So weeks after the Arkansas riot, a 23-year-old man was pushed off of a 3rd-story level balcony in at one of his concerts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know the full details of that. But there's still a lawsuit that hasn't been thrown away. That's faulting Scott for his injuries, and usually they get thrown away pretty fast.
Dude, it gets fucking any rap festival concert.
It's pretty obvious that it's not his fault, it would get thrown away pretty fast, and it's still pending in court. Yeah. And it's been in court for at least a few years now.
Dude, it feels very unsafe. Like I've had to leave Lollapalooza stages before because it's just too wild.
The crowd might be too rowdy. Yeah.
Yeah, specifically at the most recent one, Playboy Cardi came out and he performed right before Miley Cyrus, which is a terrible idea because there was these like 16, 14-year-old like, you know, tiny white girls that were just like, we're going to camp out. We're going to wait for Miley Cyrus because we want to see a good spot. And obviously like mobs of people rushed to go see Playboy.
And then just bullied them out of the way, essentially.
Bullied them. Well, they were actively being told like, you guys need to leave. Like it's going to get crazy. And the girls were like, no, we're going to stay. And people got hurt. You know, people got pushed over, like essentially, you know, same thing. But that's what happens with these rap guys, man. Like, they throw on a hell of a performance. There's rap guys. Mosh pits.
Fuck these rap guys.
Yeah, dude, that's why I only listen to fucking country. All right.
Damn right, man.
Hey, God, guns, and country.
If it doesn't talk about the flag and God, I ain't listening.
Hey, true. And let's go, Brandon. Let's all give a round of applause.
That's right.
Let's go, Brandon.
Who's Brandon?
Bro.
All right, yeah, don't be coy. Tell us what your people mean by "Let's go, Brandon."
Yeah, man.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, he's being serious. Okay. All right, fair enough.
He's not one of those kind of Trumpies.
Oh, bro,
I'm not a Trumpy.
Breaking news. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has stated that he's immunized.
At this point, the people think this is an inside joke we're going with. You're a Trumpy. No, you're going to be defending their kind.
Yeah, I'm a Trumpy. I'm going to defend them.
All right. Fellow anti-vaxxer Aaron Rodgers has come out and said he's done his own research, over 500 pages, and has even consulted now good friend Joe Rogan for treatments against COVID. While discussing treatments, I've been taking monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, zinc, vitamin C and D, and HCQ, and I feel pretty incredible, he told the Pat McAfee show. The rating
horse GH.
The rating
wait. Horse GH.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that the ivermectin shit?
No, man. But he's
what the hell is horse GH?
Growth hormone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The reigning NFL MVP claimed to say he has an allergy against the mRNA in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines and chose not to get the Johnson & Johnson shot due to reported side effects. Okay. Let's quickly just go around the room, starting with Jay. Are you
really funny? I think he's a funny guy.
As an anti-vaxxer yourself, are you glad to have somebody like this
representing you?
Yeah.
Do you like this?
Yeah.
Having
Do you think
Aaron
this
Rodgers
is bad press or good press?
Wisconsin, good press. Best way to go about it.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Aaron Rodgers was, I don't know. I think it's kind of stupid since like NFL. They're not forcing them to get vaxxed, if I'm understanding this right.
That is correct.
So
you're correct.
What's really? I don't really see the harm of what he.
Let me give you guys like the 101.
I don't know why. I don't understand
why
why he did it. I guess.
Yeah.
Like it really makes no sense. Like.
Let me give you guys a 101, and then we'll hear like what you guys.
But I also think it's fucking stupid because like I know they make them like wear masks on the side. Maybe that's not why he wants to do it. But they're out in the field, freaking breathing on each other.
A lot of it
is
is semantics and looks.
Yeah, but it's just the look of it, which also is kind of stupid at this point. Like if make them wear a mask on the field then, if that's what works. You know what I mean?
That's not what people are angry about. The number one issue that I've seen people like be upset about is that he represented himself as having like been vaccinated, because
he was telling people he was immunized. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, during an interview, when he said he was asked, Aaron, what's your opinion on the vaccine, or have you been vaccinated? He said, I have been immunized. Yes, others on the team have not been vaccinated. You know, using that keyword "others," you know, excluding himself from that group, and then he went on to say that's their opinion, and I respect that. Obviously, like that statement sounds very harmless, but when you go like and see it with like a 20/20 hindsight, he was literally lying and telling people for months and giving interviews with no masks to people who had the right to know that he was vaccinated or not.
I think this just means that he should run for mayor.
I agree. Let's
honestly
run for office.
Governor.
Yes,
this makes sense. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. Worst governor.
A good liar. Good liar is a good politician. So
you're not wrong about that. Totally right.
I think we should change the narrative here and
Wisconsin already loves him.
And say Aaron Rodgers 2024.
Yeah, for mayor. I couldn't agree. For governor, that means.
I low key totally agree with you.
I think that's our new slogan that we're gonna pursue.
Him and his fiance, who his fiance then. There was
Shailene Woodley, or
there was a.
He's stuck to one girl now.
Yeah, he's fiancéed up, and you'll see why. There was a photograph of a man who looked similar to Aaron Rodgers out in the streets, and it wasn't him. It was just some guy that looked like him.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, there's this picture of Aaron Rodgers still out and about," and it wasn't him. And it like if you looked at the picture, you're like, clearly that's not Aaron
never
Rodgers.
Him. It was like the guy was way too thin.
Yeah, but then his fiance Shailene Woodley came out and said, "Wow, this press only wants to do anything to get scraps on my fiance. I know Aaron's body very well, and his feet are much bigger."
And then she had a winky face.
Quote.
You should have said Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah, what the fuck is this? She's like, his feet are much bigger. What kind of shit? Hey, shout out to Shailene Woodley for being a ride or die. You know what I mean? She's like, no,
that's true. That's true.
Boo. I got you, boo.
Right.
At least she's out there, like.
Yeah, she's like, his feet are much bigger.
Yeah.
Fighting the media, theoretically.
Yeah, but overall, my opinion about this whole incident is he just should have been honest. And because that just makes it look worse.
He just looks like a liar.
He probably didn't think he was gonna get caught. To be fair.
Yeah,
but then that also just kind of means he's a liar, you know.
Yeah,
he didn't think he was gonna get caught. He was willing to lie.
Yeah, we all lie some bit. But it looks worse because it's like, dude, I get it when like these athletes don't want to. Kyrie Irving's another issue, but
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Kyrie Irving.
He's a weirdo. Bro.
I respect. I understand that he's a weirdo and he has some weird opinions, but
Kyrie Irving is a flat earther.
I know.
I don't think any of his opinions should be.
I know, but
hey, but he's a hell of a baller.
All I'm saying is
he can shoot those hoops.
At least the dude was straight up.
Yeah,
at least the dude was straight up.
He was honest.
He was honest from the beginning. He's like, yo, I don't know how we feel about this. I'm not going to get the vaccine.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it.
And essentially, if I remember correctly, the city of New York wanted him to get vaccinated, but like the opponent teams that had to come into the city didn't necessarily have to get vaccinated.
Right. Well,
so
again, it's
it
semantics.
So it was, I don't know.
No, but everyone.
He kind of had a little bit of a leg to stand on that.
I mean,
like
everyone in the NBA is vaccinated except for him.
Is it at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because you can't play at certain away games.
That was my point.
So like other teams that they don't have to in their state, they still have to because they can't play in other games. So it doesn't make.
Yeah. The last I had looked into was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so it's just him. I know Andrew Wiggins was there for a minute not getting vaccinated, but I'm pretty sure he's playing now.
Is he playing now, Kyrie? Still?
No, Kyrie's not.
He's refusing to get the vax.
Do you guys think he's gonna sit out the year?
Honestly,
is that what it looks like?
Honestly,
I think he will.
Who cares, man?
I don't know. You're the NBA fan.
But that's what I'm
You're
saying.
the
Like
NBA
Kyrie,
guy.
he's won a few chips. I mean, not on his own without LeBron, but I mean, he could retire and he could be fine. Like he's very, 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 very well off.
Okay.
Like
and he's also part of a super team. It's not like his team desperately needs him.
Yeah.
And
the only reason they didn't make the finals last year was because fucking Kevin Durant's foot is a size 17. I mean, genuinely, like
big fact.
Yeah.
No, Bucks are
As Shanley Woodley would say, his feet are a lot bigger. Yeah, what do you think about this, Jay? Do you think Kyrie should get the vax and play, or do you think?
Nah, man, stick. I mean, at this point, like, what do you look like if you go back on your word now?
That's true.
Like, he's made such a strong stance of saying, "Hey, no," like the way he'd look if he got it, it's kind of like,
it's like, they got you.
You know what I mean? Like,
no,
I don't think there's no reason for him to come back. I don't see a reason. He has money. He has everything that he wants. You know, like he doesn't need it.
No, that's
he could
true.
play basketball in other leagues.
Yeah, that's true. But how does that work in the G League? Like if he drops down?
I mean, he's not gonna do that. But I'm saying he could do like other stuff, like basketball related stuff.
Yeah,
like, he doesn't have to.
I mean, Isaiah Thomas went
and
out
he's
and
still gonna get paid though, off the chance that he might come back. Like not the full amount, I don't believe, but he still
could earn a part of his paycheck.
He still earns part of that paycheck. So unless they trade him, which no one wants to do for him right now, or
no one wants him on their team.
They can't really do anything unless they buy him out, which is another ton of money.
Yeah, that's true.
So and you can't do that because things might change. Maybe laws will loosen back up where you don't have to be vaccinated.
Circling back to the Aaron Rodgers situation, what do you guys think about? Because I want to give you guys like a little situation that happened. Aaron Rodgers was fined $14,000 for ignoring this.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. For ignoring this for months. While a player named CeeDee Lamb just the week beforehand was fined $20,000 for having his jersey untucked.
Bro, white privilege.
Yeah, and
low-key, I'm kidding, bro. Bro, I'm joking.
Low-key, the situation you're talking about does apply, but I don't think that's what was happening here. Like, I think it was just Aaron Rodgers being like a Tom Brady level star in the league, where he is just pampered and they give him every penalty, almost like LeBron.
Yeah,
how he'll drive and anybody that you know what I mean.
He's earned it.
The stars are giving a lot of leverage, and as well as by like the NFL front offices, the commissioner and all those guys. Like, I don't know how do you explain the fact that they only fined him $14,000 for quite literally lying for months
when it comes to superstars like this. They either get the best situation or they're made an example of. And with the Rona and with Aaron Rodgers, especially being in Wisconsin, which is like, yes, it was a blue state, but it is a predominantly red state in most areas. I think they're just gonna do a little slap on the hand, and this whole thing is gonna just be like a talking point for a couple of weeks, and then it's gonna go over.
Yeah. And I think it's leverage, bro. It's at the end of the day, NFL's a business. Like, he has leverage. I mean, that's just what he's earned, what he's worth, and that's just how things work.
Yeah, and for the next Packers game,
I don't think there's anything to deep dive into it. Like it's leverage of a business.
He's not gonna get the vaccine. He'll be fine.
You know, you get privilege to what you've earned.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. He's got leverage for it. He not. My opinion, your opinion doesn't matter about the business aspect of does he deserve it? Like that's just what it is.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think it just kind of shows that the discipline mechanisms in the NFL are kind of a sham.
That's everything, bro. Honestly.
Oh, everyone knows what that sound is. It's our final thoughts about the wine.
Is that what that is?
What the fuck was that?
That sounded like a little...
What did we think about the Beaujolais today, gentlemen?
Delicious.
Yeah,
it was alright. It's a really good wine.
It's a good wine.
It's starting to warm up, so I can taste it a lot more now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I kind of gotta wash it down with this Mio.
Alright, it's not like that. But no, it's alright. The Beaujolais is alright.
Yeah, I think it's a good wine for if you're hosting a party. But I think besides that, you can definitely find better stuff. Get a higher end Beaujolais.
But I'd drink it again for like a casual nightcap.
And this was like $13, $14.
Yeah, that's a bargain and a half.
Yeah.
It's a bargain and a half.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind when you're, thinking about stuff.
No, absolutely.
It's got a really cool cork on it.
It does.
Can I see?
Yeah, it's got a giant line through it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like someone like added
trying to bite into it.
Right from the bottom. Like there was a little animal in there just
took a little bite.
Needed to get out but couldn't.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That doesn't make me second guess things at all.
All right, we're gonna take a small break and then we're gonna get right into the main topic.
Bro, speaking of Mexicans,
dude, honestly,
so you ESL till 5th grade is what you were saying?
I was ESL until halfway through third grade. They moved me out because I had a lot of issues with the teacher and I just got into trouble a lot.
Of course you did.
And so they were like, well, you
don't pass, but we're fucking tired of you.
There was already there was already 2 students in the full English classroom. And like from the ESL from the year before, and
like when they take an F and then just add an extra leg,
they're like, nah,
make it look like a janky A.
Like I was already doing really well.
They
like
screwed you guys from the beginning, honestly, by putting you in ESL.
Well, for us, it was like I kind of appreciate it now because I know how to read and write Spanish pretty well, and to this day I still use it. However, I think that at a certain point it kind of like, do I use Spanish a lot? No. Do I like to keep it? Yes, but it's like, to what benefit? Like, do I actually use it? Do I need it for work? Do I need it for anything? Well, no, not necessarily, but it is nice to have it. Like, I am fully bilingual, so it is nice to have it, but at the same time, it's not helping me in many ways.
For sure. I had an ESL class in my school in kindergarten.
Did you actually take ESL?
No, I wasn't in it. But
but
I
you had.
I saw it. I saw it right next to me.
Yeah.
Bro, it was an ESL class next to me. Is what I meant.
Bro, no. The funny, they're like in kindergarten in Whitewater. There was only like 2 classes from what I remember, and it was like all the white kids in one class and me, and then all the Hispanics in the other class. But we'd have recess together, so we like intermingle.
Yeah.
But like, I remember like I'd get picked on by the Hispanic kids a lot. Like they did not like me. Like,
yeah, because you're the white kid.
Yeah, because I was like the Mexican that was in like not with them and didn't talk to them.
Exactly.
And, like,
what are you too good for us?
They bullied me, bro. They
Hell
did.
Yeah, as they should.
My mom.
Tell us how it made you feel,
bro. It made me kind of upset, man. And
As
my mom.
What would you tell your mom about that?
No, she'd get calls. She was like, these kids are like, we're not leaving you alone. And at one point, I was like, I'm just being like,
a 5-year-old.
A 5-year-old. I'm
sweet
freaking playing
5-year-old,
around.
yeah.
I'm not sweet, but like I got tired of these kids like thinking they could like bully me, and it was like a group of like 3 of them.
So I
like
popped
Mexican
one in
kids.
the face.
So we'd line up for to go back in at recess, right? And you know how school walls are, right? Like the outside, that shit's hard, like
That's
bricks,
hard
bro.
Yeah, usually
So these
brick
kids
or
were
cement.
this kid got in my face again, like repeatedly, bro, like middle of the year, and I couldn't take like. At that point, I was like, dude, I can't. Like, these kids are about to, like, I'm not aggressive and I don't like fighting. But, like, I grabbed this kid's head. We were 5 years old, bro. And I slammed it against the brick wall, bro. I know. I'm like,
You Nate Diaz,
bro, I'm that kid that's like, hey, I'm like quiet. I'm like, please just leave me alone. And then, like, all of a sudden, I'm just like, grabbed him and boom.
Dude, you're that guy
probably
posting Joker memes.
I went to the
that was your villain.
I went to the principal's office and he had like, dude, this massive bump on his head, like this big, bro. You could
probably
see
gave
it.
him brain
It was like this
damage.
cork just sticking on here, bro. That's what
Kind of like in the cartoons.
Yes, exactly.
Like those old-timey cartoons.
Like the naked
Tom
little,
and Jerry.
Yeah, like the thing that he looked like he had a Rufus on his head, bro.
You fucked his whole life up.
Yeah, no, and those kids never mess with me again.
Yeah. Well, you taught them right. That's why bullying works.
I had a few stories like that, but they were more like later in my schooling, like 7th, 8th grade.
No, I had a very similar one.
And that's where my
kindergarten
mental
also.
health issues first started.
That's when I first started taking anxiety medication.
You didn't. I had a similar story in kindergarten
No, I'm
too.
just kidding. Yeah,
In kindergarten?
Yeah, dude. Like people who like I became friends with later on, but like they all kind of knew each other, and I was getting picked on. Like, I was just playing by myself, and they all came over and started fucking with me. And dude, I was obviously inspired by the Power Rangers, so I started calling out my action moves. And I was like, tornado fist! And I started spinning around.
You did not, bro. You're fucking
Swear
around.
to God, I'm not fucking around.
And you hit a kid with a tornado fist.
I hit 2 kids. The ones that were coming to pick on me. And everyone's like, all right, he's cool. And after that, we were friends.
Beat your pop over here.
Bro, I was out there like, nah, I was playing by myself. And I was like, damn, I don't have... Still this day, I can remember like playing in the sand being like, damn, I don't have friends, like whatever. And I was just like picking rocks, and I'm like, this is cool, like I can do this. And then I see him walking, like running towards me, and I was like, not today.
I remember they would pick on me a lot because of this girl from their class that I talked to a lot.
Oh shit!
Bro,
So you probably made him jealous?
Since 5th grade, bro.
Yeah.
You know.
Really?
I mean, since kindergarten, at it.
They were trying to smash.
I mean, if we're all gonna be telling fight stories, then I'm gonna have to.
let's
Bro,
hear
you
it.
fight all the time though. It's not even
Shut
fair.
the fuck up.
Bro, I've never been in a fight besides that, and you've definitely been into more than 3.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've never even heard one about you. But
That's
I can just
true.
know. I just know.
All right. Closer to your age, I remember
Let's
being.
go 5 years old. Yeah. That's pretty
Yeah,
young.
I remember. Being 1st grade. So probably what? How old are you there? 6.
Yeah, you're
7,
6.
whatever.
6 or
You're 6
7.
years old.
Yeah, I was arriving from the bus in the morning, getting to school, and I see this girl who's in my class and has a similar, or her last name starts with a B, my last name starts with a B. So we're always by each other in class and like.
Don't tell me you hit a girl.
Not
hit a
like
girl?
that though.
You hit
Not
a
like
girl,
that.
bro?
Let me get there.
This guy hit a girl, bro.
Let me get there. This guy over here
Aren't-
fucking
dude,
trying to
aren't
cancel
you-
my ass.
Don't you have a fiance, bro? That's fucked up.
Okay,
dude.
first of all, let me finish my story.
Real tough, dude.
This
You're
girl,
real strong.
this girl was getting.
I was getting picked on by this girl.
This girl was getting pushed around or
Punch her
whatever
in the face.
by this guy.
Oh,
who,
she was getting pushed around.
Yeah, she was getting pushed around by this guy. And truth be told, this girl kind of annoyed me. But like, it was just weird
But
to
be
see
last name.
that,
Yeah.
that dynamic. This guy who's like clearly bigger than her and like pushing her around and shit.
Yeah.
So I just came up from behind him and I just grabbed his backpack and did like 3 spins and threw him like as far as I could, and he tumbled and just.
Holy shit.
know.
Unprompted. What
Yeah.
a gentleman.
No, but after that, I didn't even say anything to her. I just got away and like kind of walked away.
Bro, 0 tolerance for bullies, man.
Zero tolerance.
After that, another one that was much more real fight. This is like 7th or 8th grade. I got this dude, one of my best friends in front of me, is being kind of fucked with by this dude who's like a supposedly wannabe gangbanger or whatever. And so like he keeps taking a shit, and at one point I just tell him, is there some noise or something?
No.
Yeah,
What's going on, bro? You
I'm
said
just-
taking a shit?
Yeah, what did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, he keeps taking
I'm trying
his
to
shit.
follow the story.
Yeah, he keeps taking his pencils, his books, and things like that, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he keeps taking his stuff, and I was just like, dude, like leave us the fuck alone. Like I'm at his table, like, and he's at a different table, and you keep fucking with us. Just leave us alone. And he's like, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Blah blah blah.
Like, I'll fucking show you.
Yeah, and then I essentially like let the teacher get really busy and like really into something. And I just went over there and I was like, are we gonna do yeah? And I just went over there while the teacher like turned around. I was like, so what's up? Like, you had something to say? He came up to me and I did this wrestling move that's called a head throw.
Yeah.
Where you like essentially stick your arm over the back of his neck and then your other arm, and then link that arm and carry him from his neck and his underarm, and just slam him into the ground so you fall on his chest and, you know, you like knock all the wind out of him.
Yeah.
So I did that shit to him and he was like fucking crying. He was like, I'm gonna get my brother and like come get you afterwards and like this and that. And like I'm like a fucking naive little like seventh grader. And he, you know, uses drugs and shit. Like he looks like a gangbanger to me. Like, so I slept with a fucking bat for a few weeks.
Oh, damn. Our neighbors are having some implications. Let's go ahead and ignore that last sound. Damn. You slept with a bat?
Yeah, so that dude...
They're going to come to your house?
And that incident, yeah, like I...
Is that the ceiling?
No. They were slamming the...
Okay. They weren't at us?
No.
Okay. Alright, that low-key made me think that we were being...
No, fuck him.
Okay.
And Blue Lives Matter more than...
Even more than that was such a good video.
We're referencing Colin Jost and Michael Che swapping jokes on SNL's Christmas episode. Go watch it. Linked in the description down below. This episode 10. Congratulations, gentlemen. We made it to double digits. We are talking about men's health awareness, as it is November, which is Men's Health Awareness Month. June is Men's Health Month. And the thing that we're going to talk about today is a lot of mental health, what we've dealt with, as well as some of the facts that are kind of just not swept underneath the carpet, but most people aren't familiar with. So really quickly, I'm going to just run off, and then we'll talk about some issues afterwards. So 5 major mental health problems affecting men.
Yum.
I don't know what was in my throat there. Over 6 million men suffer from depression every year. Approximately 19.1 million from ages 18 to 54 have anxiety disorder. 2.3 million Americans are affected by bipolar disorder. 3.5 million Americans are diagnosed with schizophrenia. And approximately 10% of the male patients with anorexia and bulimia, 35% of those have binge eating disorder. So, 10% of all men have anorexia or bulimia. That's what I meant. And 35% of those have binge eating disorder. Back to some more facts. 1 in 8 men have common illness such as anxiety, depression, and panic disorder. 73% of adults who go missing are men. 87% of those who sleep rough are men. Looking at the prison system, 95% of the prison population is men. 72% of male prisoners suffer from 2 or more mental disorders. When it comes to substance abuse, we have men are more likely than women. 8.7 men and 3.7 women are affected by substance abuse. 4 in 5 suicides are men, and suicide is the most common death for men 35 years and younger. So that's the highest one. And in the last 5 years, the suicide rate in males aged 45 through 59 has increased significantly to 22.2 deaths per 100,000 population. So it also revealed that the rate was 10 times higher in men who have lower socioeconomic status than affluent males. So, gentlemen, all 3 have been pretty open about ourselves on the podcast. Today will be more of that, just speaking about not only mental health, but mental health awareness, some of the stuff that we've done, some of the stuff that's worked for us. So, Juan, I know you wanted to give a couple more facts and go on the issue.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking about that last fact, about how in the last 5 years, suicide has increased significantly for men. And I just wanted to build on some and flesh out some of that data that we were reading. I had come across an article that essentially had talked about how a lot of these trends are linked to jobs and job trends, specifically about how economic forces are making men less appealing to partners. And it can tie from a lot of things, from outsourcing jobs to China to the opioid epidemic. Some of this revealing data that we came across came from University of Zurich economist David Dorn. In 2017, he had a paper called When Work Disappears, Manufacturing and Decline, and the Falling Marriage Market Value of Men. Dorn and his colleagues crunched the numbers from 1990 to 2014 they found that employability and marriageability are deeply intertwined.
Oh, 100%. And one thing that we'll definitely talk about today is the pressure that it is to feel, and this is something that Jay wanted to bring up, so we'll give him the floor in a couple seconds here. The pressure that it is to be a providing man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's more of the dynamic, I think this is a real, we talk about suicide rates and all that. I think it's a real time of change, and with that comes a lot of discomfort, with, growing pains. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's part of the process. Like, we're still trying to figure out your role, and especially in a time of, like, I don't know, where feminism is getting more popular and stuff like that, where it's like it's tough to define a role and see what the expectations are of a male.
Yeah.
And those things are
Kinda
tough sometimes, because I feel like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I think, I'm big in, like, everything should be equal, and I agree, and that's how I think most of us, like, are in our relationships. But
I would agree.
That's stuff that you didn't see with, like, our parents and our grandparents. You know what I mean? Like, at least with mine, like, I see, like, my grandma's the one that cooks. She plates the food for my grandfather. Like, very strict. So, like
a traditional,
very traditional. But then it's like, at one point, is that traditional?
School.
That's just not.
Yeah.
At
what point does traditional become old school?
Yeah. Is that or is that old school, or is that how things should be now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's quickly go around the room and go. Grandparents and parents, did they have a traditional quote unquote relationship? For my grandparents, both of them now work to this day. They're in their 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandma cooks. My grandpa has no idea how to cook on one side of the family. And then on the other side of the family, who live in Mexico, my grandma literally stays at home all day cooking and cleaning while my grandpa takes the farm animals out, goes out, hangs out with the men, talks to men, and my grandma stays home all day.
Right.
Parents, similar. Mom and dad. My mom knows how to cook. My dad over the last couple of years has learned to progress and, like, obviously give her more, like, not like he's like an abusive male, but, like, he's learned how to cook more and, like, understand. But they've always kind of both cleaned and do all that shit. But in terms of cooking, it's always been my mother. What about let's go, Juan? Grandparents and parents.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with my parents first off, then I'll move on to my grandparents. For my parents, I would say that both of them have always held a job. Generally, my mom used to do more cooking and cleaning, but things have, like, shifted over and become way more equal. And that was kind of at a young age for me. It wasn't necessarily like a late or current turn in life for my father. I would say that he has learned to cook pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, sometimes I would say that there are even dishes that he prepares better.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to my grandparents and on both sides, the grandparents on my father's side had, honestly, both I would say relationships had like a weird little dynamic where my grandparent or my grandfather worked, but then he suffered some sort of injury or something, and then he couldn't work past, like, a certain age. I want to say, like, 50 or something.
Yeah.
And then he essentially used his large family to, like, subsidize, like, the family, the rest of the family. He used his 13, 14, 15 kids. And that's on both sides of maternal and paternal sides. Yeah, on the father's side, yeah, he used his kids once he was older. Some of them had moved to the United States, so, like, a dollar went a little bit farther.
Yeah.
And my dad fell into that role. He was, like, one of the
kids who helped out.
Yeah, the kids
sent money every month.
That had to send money, and, like, he had to come at a very young age so that he could take on those responsibilities.
Jesus.
But my grandmother, I would say, she was a pretty traditional grandmother. She cooked and cleaned.
Yeah.
And especially on the paternal side. My maternal side had almost like a reverse dynamic where she was like the ball buster of the family, bro. Like, she was low-key an amazing woman. Like seriously. She had like 15, 16 kids as well.
Yeah.
One or two died at a young age. but she essentially carried and maintained a small farm for the majority of her life in Mexico, while raising all those kids and sending them to school. They also came to the United States on like visas and things. So I don't understand how she managed to live a life that was that busy, I guess you could say. But yeah, she did it. Incredible, achievement. And
right.
She, while my grandfather, I would say, was almost like she couldn't like trust him or count on him, and like I could tell that dynamic as I was younger, but I didn't really like know about it until I got older, and my mom essentially told me like straight up, like, yeah, like he's just a drunk, and he's been a drunk for as long as I'm aware, and she thinks that of him, and she's quite literally twice my age, my mom, like, so it's just a dynamic that I didn't know existed until I got older in life, and I thought of him as this like sweet Santa Claus looking man who was, because he
was always in a good mood because he was drunk.
Yeah, and he's literally had white hair since he was like 45. He's been that one Mexican dude in the village who's like the super
part albino.
Yeah, el blanco le dicen el güero.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, well, the reason we bring that up is more to say, like, do you guys
the expectation?
Do you Juan feel an expectation to provide for your wife, or for your soon-to-be wife? You know what I mean? And do you feel that you have more responsibility than her?
I wouldn't say that I feel like I have more of a responsibility than her. But I do feel that you have this internal pressure that you have to try 120, 130, 150%.
Well, let me put it this
way.
To
like build your nest egg as large as you can for your family.
Right.
So like even if it's like I don't necessarily think that she has to bring more or less or a specific number. It's more about like my own internal motivation. That's like,
what I mean. Do you feel like you need to bring more?
See, that's my thing though. Like I feel like this pressure is internal rather than external. Like I don't view it
external.
I'm saying you though, not her, not
yeah.
her, but I'm saying like you. Like,
that's my point. Like I don't view it as more or less. I just view it as like I have to bring as much as I can, and as much as like as much sweat and blood and tears as I can pour into that nest egg. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying.
That's a very like internal motivating factor, and for whatever reason, like my brain doesn't go to like, oh, like she's earning this much, therefore I have to earn more. It's like,
and I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like the pressure of you doing yourself, because there's a difference, because I mean, even not from just how other people would see it, but how you see it. Like, if you saw a situation where it's like, hey, you worked and she didn't have to, like, is that looks that from the outside, that almost looks like it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, people would be like, they wouldn't blink an eye. But if it was the other way around, people would think, oh, hey, that's unacceptable.
There's a little bit of judgment there.
So do you feel like that affects you in any way?
I mean, that affects no, because like I that's not my situation in life. That's not where I'm at. But I get what you're saying, that is totally like a societal lens through which that is like a Hippocratic or a hypocrisy within our own society, where we like judge a man who perhaps got married for whatever reasons they chose to, and then he's like the stay-at-home guy, like right that's almost like looked down on. But I don't know, man, like I get what you're saying, but my personality like kind of like doesn't give a fuck about a lot of those external pressures, and I couldn't tell you why.
Really? No, yeah, I feel 100% pressured.
Like I get, my pressure is internal. My pressure is I have to provide because I'm gonna have a fucking kid and a family unit.
And I think we all feel that, but I think like,
but I think that
internal, and I think it's internal. I can't speak for Louis, but I feel like it's internal and external in a way as well.
Yeah, like you also feel like the societal weight.
Yeah. But I feel like not as much societal, but just the standards that I feel like I have for myself. It's like
those come from external too.
Yeah, and I mean it could those things could come from external. Yeah. But like they're just so great at times. It's like, man, it's tough to juggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, like, when we were reading and doing a lot of reading for this topic, I came across like the fact that more women are going to college. Like these, I guess the jobs of the future seem to be more women centric. Like they are nursing and healthcare, and a lot of these fields that women seem to prefer. That was just one example, right?
Yeah.
And while a lot of the jobs that seem to be contracting seem to be these jobs like manufacturing and things like that used to employ a lot of men. So like while I get what you're saying, man, like low key, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna have to like shift their fucking minds, or else they're gonna be left behind like that like Chinese generation where there's not enough partners for everybody. Because if you're not shifting your mind, man, like there's gonna be some woman who's gonna be intimidating to you.
Start working out, boys.
Yeah, like
start hitting the fucking gym, boys.
Yeah, like I don't know, like
if you're gonna be bringing the money, at least bring the muscle. at least be the trophy.
Be a protector.
Hey, be a trophy husband.
Yeah. Be the trophy husband. Like, yeah. They start bringing you around like you're a fucking purebred dog.
That's right.
Like, and this one's name is Oliver.
I found him in Barcelona.
And Oliver is half Asian and half Spanish, and he's 6'3". He can bench press 315 for 22 reps. And you're like, Jesus, all right.
All right. Are we talking about a husband or an NFL combine prospect?
And he wears a size 13.
Yeah, and this is Todd. Todd, I met while I was on a beach.
Well, what about you, Pablo?
And I came across his Instagram, and I was like, wow, he's got perfect 8-pack abs. What about me? No, I feel pressure 100%, man. Like social, internal, everything, man. Like, yes, I do hold myself to a very high standard. But like my mentality, it doesn't come from a negative place, but like
it turns to be negative at times.
I can be so hard on myself for no reason.
Right.
And yeah, man, that pressure definitely does come from like society and like yourself. Like I will like beat myself up. Like there was like a month where I was like I've always had a job, but when I didn't have a second job, and like I was fortunate that my girlfriend did, and like we didn't suffer. We weren't able to, it never came to a point where we weren't able to like pay rent or anything. But like when she was making money and like extra money and I wasn't, dude, I wanted to hang myself.
Yeah. Like
I was like, what am I doing? I'm fucking just sitting here on the weekends, like figuring stuff out. And like I was working on stuff at the time, but like I didn't have like hard money like getting into the bank account and like something to show to her. And yeah, man, it is pressure that you hold to yourself, and it ultimately can be negative and like kind of eat you from the inside out. But like I think for the most part, I think men do deal with this. And like if you want to get married, if you want to be a partner that is attainable, and like, well, why would anyone want me? Because that's the big thing. It's like, why would anyone want to marry me? Right. Like if I do get down on one knee, what are the odds that they say no?
Right. And
like, well, what do you have anything to offer them? Like, yeah, maybe you have a job. Okay, is it a consistent job? Like maybe you have a good personality, but like, can you put it aside to, put your mind to work? So I think a lot of that does come into play.
And I think a lot is shifting too, like the dynamics of men and women, and you know, and maybe the society's not there yet, but I feel like our generation's really starting to understand, at least for the women, with my girlfriend, things are very like, we try to make it as 50-50, as possible. And I'm not just saying financially, but just like with every single aspect of being a man and a woman, and we're not stuck to the we're not stuck to the roles, like a man does this, woman does this, like it's not like that at all. And I see that in all of our relationships. We've been around each other enough where it's like, we can talk about everything, like how is she feeling, everything all right, because it's once we're grown-ups now, it's not just like, hey, we're dating and blah 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 blah, like
trying to bust
we're going and we're going for dinner. It's not that anymore. Like we're there, you got to be there. Well, obviously we're all there for each other, what I mean?
No, 100%. And that's the big thing too, is like responsibility wise, that's where it really shifts. It's like, all right, when it comes to driving somewhere, most likely, I guarantee the three of us, 98% of the time we drive.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And that's not like anything against women, but it's like that's always going to be society. Like, dude, look left and right while you're in traffic. It's a man driving. Like, and that's nothing to do with it. Like, it's just that's the norm, and it's not even a question.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, me and Alo divided like more evenly than that.
Really?
I would have said
No.
like 60-40.
No, dude,
I drive like 100% of the time.
I drive 100% of the time.
I'll drive
Even
like,
if it's not my car at the time.
I'll drive all of the trips in my car. Basically all the trips in my car. But if she's taking her car, she drives.
Yeah.
And if it's like late at night, and it's just a specific kind of situation, I'll let her drive. Cause like
when you've had a whiskey or two.
Nah, like I'm talking like 3 a.m. It's like I am not to be trusted at that time. I know myself.
You have bad vision or what?
No, I get drowsy, and I know myself, and I'm not to be trusted.
You just
so,
in your head all that, or
no, I just will be fine, and then suddenly, like, and you just like shift to the side. So I'm like,
remind me to never let you drive my car.
Fuck,
I'm saying at like 3 a.m. in the morning, or
God
situations like that, right?
Who's out at 3 a.m. anymore?
But yeah, in
bro.
situations like that, I would
Yeah.
say that.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, unless you guys had something you wanted to bring up.
I did specifically.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I wanted to know about suicide in your guys' family. What you guys feel about like okay with bringing that up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, I want to know because this kind of when you were reading about how suicide has been increasing among men, specifically young men, up to what age?
Dude, from 35 and under, it's the leading cause of death.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why I wanted to bring it up.
In the last 5 years, it's increased to 22.2 deaths per 100,000 of the population. Dude, that's so many.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
22.2 out of 100,000.
Yeah, I mean it's the leading cause of death
Right.
for young men.
Yeah, dude,
And I mean,
that's crazy.
And I mean, there's a lot of reasons, to do that type of stuff, but I feel like it comes down to one big one, at least for me, and I feel like it comes down to purpose.
Yeah,
so
like,
what
is
to
your
purpose, like my purpose
Yeah.
to be here. Like, because if I have no purpose, then
what
then
the
it's
fuck's the
easy. It's
point?
easy to take your life away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you have no reason to be here, then what's the point?
Yeah.
But I feel like you have to have a purpose. You know what I mean? Whether that has to do with you, your family, your religion, whatever it is, but you need to have a reason to be here, and you need to be tied to that and connected to that and strive for that. You know what I mean?
A reason to live. You know?
Yeah, and like in that, I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to hear what your guys' opinions are, but that's what my opinion is to why people kill themselves, is a lack of purpose.
Yeah, no, I mean, it can be. I mean, like, I've had troubles with, like, depression, anxiety since I was, like, really young. And, like, with me, it was always, like, I just didn't feel, like, wanted or loved. And that can, there's numerous situations. And ultimately, like, yeah, you start romanticizing, like, suicide.
Right.
Like, you start thinking about all the different ways that you can do it. And it's not, like, a very healthy way to go about it. But there is a point where you're like, well, what's the point of this anymore?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
what's
it's just repetitiveness. Like, you just wake up, you go to school.
Yeah.
You come home, and then you're like, well, I'm doing all the things that I should be doing. Like, I'm part of a sports team. Like, I stay after school. Like, I'm working out. I'm reading books. Like, I'm in the fucking AP classes. And even through all that, like, nothing's going to fill that void.
But, and that's what I feel like. I mean, that's what I feel like purpose is like that to an extent, that void, like, there has to be a reason to why you're doing all that stuff. Like, it's good that you're striving for stuff, but there's got to be a reason to why you're striving for stuff. You know what I mean?
Like, are you doing it for you? Or are you doing it to, like, around you, you're setting yourself up as, like, on a podium and, like, look at what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to college.
And that's not a good that's not a valid purpose. And your subconscious knows that it's not a good purpose.
Right. You're not doing it for you. You're doing it because, like, you think it's the right thing to do. And, like, ultimately, like, just to cut to the chase, like, fucking seek therapy. That's, like, my number one. If anyone's going to take anything from this, is just, like, go to therapy. Because what I did was, like, I fucking looked for anything to, like, fill the void that just wasn't it.
And it's good to talk to people as well. Like,
yeah,
your significant other, people that you trust, your good friends. Like, I feel like it's a good thing to always talk about emotions, even as guys. Like, it's good to
around
talk.
Other guys.
It's at least for me, it has been critical to talk about how I feel about certain things because
100%.
I bottle them up and I'm a man and I did that for so many years until
you start exploding.
You don't have an outlet.
Yeah, it's just like dripping out of me where I can't control it anymore, and it's like
you become irritable.
Yeah, irritable, anxiety, like upset over little things, and you can't live like that. So, I haven't gone to therapy, but I do talk to my significant other a lot about like stuff how we're feeling, and I feel like that helps a lot to clear the air of like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like someone needs to understand.
Yeah,
and it's good to just talk things through because you don't always when it's in your head you can just it goes to random places and you need to let it out. You need to let someone else know, and once you do that, I feel like it'll make you feel a lot better.
No, I couldn't agree more.
Have you guys had any family members
Not
like
I haven't had any family. I mean, all three of us have had a friend pass away, which then led to like
not
purposely, but like I had a friend of mine who did pass away like in a kind of shit accident where he was like drunk driving, and like I know for a fact he's always dealt with like depression and anxiety, and like I've talked to him about it, and like in passing, like people would tell me like, dude, that guy's an asshole, like how are you friends with him? And I was like, dude, if you got to know him, you'd realize like he's
a good guy.
Yeah, dude, he's like scared. Like he didn't grow up with parents. Like he was adopted. Like he just doesn't know like what his point is. And like when he became 21, he started drinking heavy and like he started going to the bars every weekend. And he ended up wrapping his car around a tree. And like that's the closest thing that I can think about, like a friend or family like actually killing themselves, because he was essentially setting himself up for that. Like obviously he didn't want to kill himself, but.
The reason I brought it up because I don't know why, but I happen to have this like family history of a lot of young people offing themselves. Like for example, I have a cousin who hung himself in a garage because of like girlfriend issues. Well, and his dad found him in the garage at age 22.
Jeez.
I have a different cousin who shot himself for similar relationship issues. He was like 24, 25. And then I have both of those guys, or the last two cases were both young men.
Yeah.
This next one is a female cousin that I never met her. The other two I did, but I never met her. This one, in my opinion, like just disturbed me and shook me, because I found out she hung herself at her job.
Jesus.
And she was like age 24, 25 as well.
Yeah. And
all of these three were because of relationship issues, and they didn't know how to handle that like in a healthy way,
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that Hispanic culture is tough. I mean, I'm not pinning it to that, but I feel like it's very emotional based.
Yeah, and
I feel like not very logical. Like I've never been able to talk to like my dad about stuff like that. Like that's just like that's absurd. Like it's not even like something you even bring up, like that type of stuff, because it's like.
It's like just let it go.
Yeah, right. It doesn't. It's brushed off.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like with Hispanic culture, that's tough, because I see that with a lot of parents in that community where they're just very.
Yeah.
They're not emotionally open with their kids
and
letting them understand the tough things, like with their relationships, especially with their parents or with their moms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because they're Mexicans. I shouldn't say Mexican. Actually, Hispanic culture in general is very codependent, where it's like for before our generation, like we're all millennials here, but like the generation before us, like George was just saying, like our parents are very like dry as fuck, and they're just like, we're together and we're gonna make this work because in the eyes of God we're married and we're just gonna like figure this shit out. And so I remember like pouring my heart out to my parents about like numerous issues that I've had like throughout my life, and they would just be like, well, just you're gonna be fine, like God knows is what's gonna happen. You're gonna be good. And it's like, dude, I've had two friends pass away. Like, I've been super depressed, super anxious. And when they found weed on me, they're like, why do you smoke weed? Like, why are you doing this? And it's like, bro, because I don't fucking know what else to do. Like, I truly don't know, like, how I'm supposed to, like, go about this.
Yeah.
And they're, well, what does it feel like? And it's like, well, it makes me feel better than, like, right now. Like, I don't want to do this shit.
It just, so many people, dude, like, get on people's case about smoking weed. But at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of potheads, it's just like a replacement for therapy, man.
Yeah, and it's like, not a good replacement.
It's not a good one, but like
it's something.
It helps you take the edge off and not be a total assohole to everybody. And
No, yeah, but at the end of the day, you're just like, the weed just doesn't stop.
You are. You should be going to therapy,
Because then what happened with me was like, you know, I was like smoking weed and drinking, and then like I kept looking for like the bigger dragon to chase, and eventually like I ended up doing Molly, and like, dude, like I mean it's a crazy story, but like I had like the definition of ego death, like because I was just like prolonging like this therapy and like all this bullshit, and letting it amp. So when I did Molly, and like I literally threw up immediately, and just like all these feelings that I've had throughout all my life, and it was kind of like an 8-hour trip of just like in my head, just like somebody just like
8-hour Molly trip. You tried,
dude, and it was like,
and I can attest to Lisa's saying, because I had a very similar experience, not with the same drug, but with the tougher drug, where it's just like it was very destroyed my ego, like
just complete.
And that's when I started to really get anxious in my life. Like I mean I don't like it's not like that anymore, like because you figured out how to deal with that stuff, but it's like it really brought the stuff to light.
It brings it in front of you. All that stuff you were avoiding just like brought it from the back of your brain to the front and was like, we're gonna deal with this shit right now, and we're gonna figure this out.
No, I totally agree. I had similar experiences with psychedelics as well. When I used Molly in a group environment, like friends, at the time it was like quite literally like Jose and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it was a summer of like essentially we're hanging out at his new like lake house a lot, and we're doing a lot of this outdoorsy stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I take Molly with them, right? And it just makes you feel and realize like all the important things in life, you know. It makes you really think about like your loved ones, like how you treat them. At least for me, it made me like reanalyze like my own habits and like it made me look at myself like pick up your bullshit, dude. Like
for sure,
just be real with yourself, you know. Like be you're not as funny or as like you're not a funny guy when you're like making fun of somebody like that, when you're being mean, like 100%. That's not funny. Like it's not, you're actually hurting somebody, like you're making them think negative thoughts about themselves, like and it made me totally think about every single relationship, from my father, mother, like significant other, and like whether or not you're treating them the way you should be. And that was almost like an existential like epiphany I had on psychedelics.
And one thing I want to point out to like the people listening to this is like, it shouldn't get to that point. No, like, it shouldn't get to the point where you're like, let me try this really intense drug that could fuck me up for the rest of my life, because it could go badly. Like people could trip and then never come back.
Right.
Like you should like, just if you have these problems, and if you're listening to this and you have problems, you know you have problems.
And like, just talk about them. Just talk about them to people around you that you trust. And if you don't trust anybody, like seek a therapist.
Yeah.
Like, but just talk about these things, because it seems like it's a small thing to just speak, but it makes it so much better. Yeah. So much better.
If you have like traumatic issues that like certain things that most people would be like, Jesus Christ, like don't put that weight and pressure on people either. Like seek a professional like psychiatric therapist who's gonna be like, yeah, that happens. Like, you know, the other thing too is like I've seen people get drunk and then just blare out stuff to like friends and family. Like don't do that. Don't do that either. Like yes, trust, like George is saying,
but like in a comfortable setting. Like don't get drunk and do it, but like talk to them normally. Like you need to, you know, courage up and be able to talk about your feelings, especially as like we're saying, this is Men's Health Month. Like men need to be able to talk about things with your guy friends, and that's how progress happens in anything, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like speaking about it, figuring it out, and your friends would be more than happy to, because they go through the same things.
Right.
Like you think that we're all trying to be macho men, but like
not these guys.
But like they go through the same
not
thing.
These three fucks.
You know,
nobody's calling us macho.
For a long time, you know what I mean? That's how I dealt with things. I can admit I'm very bad with showing emotion, with expressing emotion, but I'm slowly learning how to do that and be more open, and I think that's positive for everyone.
And I think the feeling that you're talking about, like how you think you're bad at those things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men feel that.
I think it's very common.
Yeah,
we all feel, maybe.
Because, and I'm not saying to like take anything away from what you're saying.
No, 100%.
I'm just saying it's very relatable.
I agree.
Like, because personally, I come from like a family where my dad does not talk that much. Like, he will talk to everybody outside of the familial unit and like shoot the shit, and he knows how to do that. But when he's at home, it's like a different thing. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, like it's almost like give me a new vision and I'm good. Like I'll crash there.
Yeah, just
I'm
like
good.
turn their brain off and just watch TV and shut up. That's why sometimes I like seeing my dad when he's like around my girlfriend, because he like opens up more and like he's more of himself, and he's like
he's more present.
Yeah, he's like he's having a cocktail, he's like shooting the shit.
I feel like it's just generational hurtiness. Like he doesn't show emotion. He like literally never seen the man talk about a feeling.
You're talking about your father.
Yeah, like talk about a feeling, shed a tear. None of that. Like emotion doesn't exist in that person's body. You know what I mean? And that's not.
No,
that can't be healthy for them.
Yeah.
But like I definitely can't repeat the cycle of being like that, because there's consequences that come with that. There's outbursts.
Then you end up making a podcast at 24.
Dude,
you know I'm like,
I'm super we use this awkward because of all this shit.
Yeah, no, dude, with like, I mean, we can talk about our own individual stuff, but like I've seen my dad break down like in front of me, but it wasn't like a very pleasant environment to be around. Like it was because like certain things led up, and like he saw me fucking around, and like to see him fully like just drop and be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? So, like, but just seeing that and knowing that happens was like almost relieving, because then it's like, oh, this guy does fucking care about me.
Yeah.
Like it took 22 years to like see it, but like finally like
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so like to the people listening to this who like think their dads don't care about them, they do. They just turn their brain off. Like, there's so much shit going up there, and they're just in that grind of like, I gotta work, I gotta put fucking food on the table, and like, and let it go, cause like, don't be 20 something, like, oh my fucking, like I was holding it against my dad for so long, where I'm like, fuck that guy, like, I wasn't happy for so long that I'm like, he's the reason. But then you get to a point where you're like, no, he's just as scared as I am. Like we're in the same boat. We're just not showing any emotion towards each other. And you just get to a point where you're like, well, I'll just give in. And so when we talk on the phone, or like I'll make an effort to like text him and be like, what's up, man? How are you? Like I'll be like, all right, man, I love you. Like
you initiate
and stuff. Like have a good night, dude. Like, so it's I mean it's tough, but even with you guys, I try to like every time I see you guys, and like a friend of mine I haven't seen in a while, it's like, hey man, like even if it sounds super like homoerotic, I'm like, dude, I do love you, and I hope you are doing well. Yeah. Like it's 100%. Not because I'd rather say it now than like years go by and something happens.
You feel bad that you didn't say it.
And then, we're not able to do it anymore, because that does happen.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I guess this kind of becomes like a good point to bring this shit up. Have you guys ever dealt with like anything that's been diagnosed as far as like mental health?
Like myself?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've done therapy I don't do it now, but I did it for a year, and like every week, just like my therapist was giving me like worksheets. I went through BetterHelp.com, which I highly recommend, because you can do it over the phone. It's a little bit more discreet. Nothing wrong with like going in person, but this was also during COVID when I started, so it was like a little tough. No, not during COVID, but like it just worked out better. And yeah, man, it like she's like, yeah, you have anxiety and depression, and like these are the reasons why, and this is, if you don't start doing it, like you're gonna end up like this. Like you're gonna get to a point where you can't get back. And it was very relieving to like finally understand what's going on, and like something that's normal to you that you think happened is like, oh well, this is just what happens when you're a kid and you get picked on. It's like, no, it's not normal for kids to pick on you for no fucking reason. Like that's not okay. Like maybe you were an outsider, but because not that they felt intimidated, but like you were having fun and they saw that as a threat to them having fun, so like they didn't know what to do. Right. And like kids have a shit home, they come to the playground and they're gonna take it out on you, and that's not your fault. Yeah. And a lot of things that happen in your life aren't your fault, but then you'll start becoming really anxious and like outbursting all these emotions and all this anxiety that you have in you, and you start getting in trouble, and it's like that's your fault because you're not dealing with your anxiety in a proper way.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with me is once I started to see it as I'm older, and you realize how much it affected you when you were younger. These things, because they start silly things start scaring you when you're older, and you're like, man, that shouldn't frighten you. Like that's not something that's frightening, but it did, because as a kid you were kind of in a vulnerable place, so it triggered you a little bit. So I feel like
there's something there, like a traumatic
past, and you don't and as an adult, it's like you don't think of it as being traumatic. You thought it was just like, oh man, that
was slightly frightening.
That happened, and I was like a little bit scared. But then you like those memories are like there, but they're like, you know, momentarily there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying.
And I feel like it really built up to that point where I was talking about once I was around 21. That's where everything just started to pour out on me. Like, really started to come out, and just in a negative way of like anxiety, depression. And depression wasn't really a big thing, but like anxiety definitely was at a point. And you know, at times if I don't deal with certain things that I'm letting build up. So talking about those younger experiences, those younger traumatic experiences, has been very good and forgiving, you know, people for traumatic experiences that happened to you as you know, as younger. And you know what I mean? And you know, I'm sure we all go through it, you know what I mean?
I can't stress it.
I'm trying not to be deflective about it, but like
but
like I mean, I feel like we all, I mean,
everyone has a few things.
Yeah, everyone has a few things, and they're all valid, you know what I mean? And that's why I feel like I've always been like, you know, mine's not that bad because I've seen and I've heard about worse. But it was like, you know,
but that's also not like
it wasn't
your
struggle
healthy. Other people's struggle shouldn't.
It wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy because there's very, you know, things that to some people maybe they're like, oh man, I had it way worse, you know what I mean? And I could see where that comes from with certain things like that.
Right. Definitely. One thing I want to say real quick before obviously I want to let Juan talk is your biggest problem is your biggest problem.
Right.
Like, just because other people have it worse doesn't mean that what's happening to you is like
irrelevant.
Doesn't suck ass.
Yeah. Right.
And then the other thing too is like when people tell you problems, like just listen. Don't try to be like, yeah, like my, you know, this happened to me too. And it's like, no, man, just fucking listen. Like, I don't like, yes, I understand that you went through something similar, but like what people want to just get something off their chest, just listen, man. Just be there for them, because that's going to mean way more than you all of a sudden be like, yeah, because, you know, the same thing happened to me, but way worse. So it's like, no, man, just be there for him.
And I feel like it's helped me open up about it, because I'm not afraid to speak about those things anymore. Like I wouldn't even mind speaking about it here with you guys, you know, like certain things that happen, you know. But like that's what I'm saying. Like it's helped a lot to be able to talk about those things a lot more freeing and not embarrassing, you know what I mean? Because it's not embarrassing. You were a kid, you know, even no matter what happens in your life, it's not embarrassing. Things happen. People go through life, situations happen, and you know, it's good to talk about those things.
No, it's important to just like.
I mean, I'm not saying to speak them to everybody, but I'm saying like but like, you know, to talk to someone that you're
very
close with,
confident
with, and
talk
those things out.
You haven't visited though with like a mental health professional or anything like that?
Never. Not since I was like a kid, and when my parents got divorced, and she tried to make me go to a therapist for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, there's more to that. So it was good for good reason that she tried to make me go to a therapist, because I probably needed it. Not that I was acting out, but there was just.
It's a hard time for a kid.
There was a lot more to it for me. It's just, it's never that clean, you know, when things
a divorce is never like, all right,
it's super tough.
No. Yeah, and you know, that type of dynamic is weird too. You know what I mean? Like, you guys both have your parents together, right? You guys both have your parents that are together, but mine separated has really tainted the way I think I've seen relationships and how they work. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
dog.
It's hard to like.
Don't be too much of a nihilist though, bro.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like hard to.
I'm sure for the beginning of
it was hard for me to understand how things are supposed to work, because I've never seen something good work. It sounds so cliche, like I just didn't see like. But like, it's like you just don't understand how things work because you've only seen them not work.
You've only seen the bad.
Yeah.
You've only seen them not work. So
you've seen it from the other side.
I can't. It's hard to see how things are gonna work and how you know.
When you've only seen the bad,
So
I could definitely understand that point of view.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the reason why I brought up this subject was because I learned as an adult. I got diagnosed with ADHD, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, it made me realize why I am the way that I am.
But
like,
did you feel like relieved? You're like, or did you feel more like, damn, like I'm in this category?
Dude,
because it's not a negative connotation.
Yeah, okay, I can understand why you think that, and then you like do the research into like a lot of the things that having ADHD comes with, and then you kind of makes you feel like a piece of shit about yourself, because it makes you realize you're more likely to be in car accidents, you're more likely to end up in prison, you're more likely to have either be a CEO or be homeless. Like, there's like very little in between. It's just a very weird thing that has a lot to do with your personality traits and how you're gonna carry out a lot of things and important things in your life. For example, like one of the things that I have a really hard time with is like maintaining a lot of close relationships. Like, I basically have like the bandwidth to keep like 4 or 5 like people that I can like keep in contact with. Or else like I'm focusing like on what's immediately in front of me and like essentially what I have to do to get past the next month or like near time
it's very
frame.
Close proximity.
Like I am quite literally the worst in the world to keep in track with people who are like at a far distance from me. Like sometimes there are things that with my significant other that I should like pick up on that I haven't picked up on because like I'm in like my own blinders in my own world, like having to worry about, you know, whatever's in the back of my mind. And yeah, like that was just a thing that I found out as I got older, and I had no idea. I like struggled throughout school, my whole schooling career, being completely unaware of all those things. I would have this hyper focus on like subjects that I cared about, reading and like social studies, like essentially, and some science, but any subjects that I did not like, it was like fucking Chinese. It was just brutal willpower that I had to like sit there for an hour and a half on like one homework assignment that really would have taken other people like 30 minutes, and I just had to like willpower that shit. And there was just a lot of situations like that where I had to deal with, and I had no idea that was a thing. Like I would hear like other people in my life mention things like ADD, ADHD, and you're just like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, that's so silly. That's like some doctor made up shit to like sell pills. That's like what you think, right? And then I was like going to the doctor and telling them, I have these issues, like I have a hard time like focusing on things like XYZ or whatever. And then he goes on to tell me, okay, like thank you for telling me. I want to run you through this like variety of tests and like cognitive tests. We go through like 5 hours of testing of like these like essentially like games that you would play like on an app, like cognitive games, like almost like memory, things like that. And he was just absorbing everything that I was doing that wasn't even game related. Like sometimes I would tap the shit out on my leg. I would like do a lot of these little ticks and things like that. So he would take that whole profile and he told me like, yeah, you have this, that, and like I think you should do this or that. But like me not having access to like healthcare on a long-term basis has low-key affected how often I am even able to deal with that shit. Like so like now that I've had like a good to decent job and with good to decent healthcare, like I've been able to take care of it for a few like 6 months or so. But even before that, I used to have to go to like this pay to see clinic in Darien because it was more affordable than like the fucking insurance prices that you would see sometimes. Like, so it's just been.
What are you doing now for it?
I mean, now I see a counselor and a psychiatrist, and I see them. They have me on what's it called? A stimulant. And like it's, in my opinion, it's helped me a lot with not feeling super overwhelmed with every task, because I have this thing where like at work I'll start a task but I like spread myself out too thin sometimes. Like I'll try to do everything at once rather than like take it like step by step or something like that.
Right.
And it's just there's been a lot of things like that where I can't direct my focus in a way that's like as productive as it should be. And now that I've begun to deal with a lot of those things, it's helped a lot, man. Like it helps. I would say the number one thing it helps with is like confidence, bro. Cause like before this, like my confidence in myself was like super shot. Like I would always just think, I would always second guess myself. Like, is this right? Like, did I remember that correctly?
Yeah.
Like, if I would go, perhaps, I don't know, to a room or something like that, and somebody tells you, oh, hey, make sure you close the door. Like, I have to triple check that shit. Because, like, I very well might forget that shit. And it's just little things like that where you feel like all these little incidents where you're letting people down, but you're not really meaning to. And it's like that, dude. That'll shoot your confidence, like. Right,
because then all of a sudden you're the guy who's not dependable, and it's like, no, it's just you feel so overwhelmed that like you don't know if everything's being done, and all of a sudden you're not being called reliable. So it's like that's no fault of your own. It's just like that's the way your brain works.
That sounds like my brother, man. Like Uriah.
Yeah.
That sounds like him a lot.
Dude, there's a lot of
things like that.
Yeah.
He's like very like you can't depend on him for stuff because he's just all over the place and he can't get something done, and like he always forgets stuff. And
does he have hyper focus on a certain subjects?
I don't know about school. Why?
I don't mean just subjects,
like
but like interests and things like that.
Like video games, he's huge into that and stuff like that. But I don't know. That's just being a kid. But like, very, very.
No, there is
a lot of symptoms like what you're saying.
Yeah. There is something to even ADD people being able to focus on video games because of like
he's really good.
It's gamified.
Yeah.
Like you reached the objective. Oh, you reached the objective. Here's that dopamine hit. Here's that dopamine hit.
Yep.
Like it's gamified to chemically induce him to want to come back.
For sure.
Yeah. No, that's the big thing is just like, did you feel like seeking help was like ultimately what it has helped you from then to now?
Yeah, man, like big time. I would say, dude, for me, the one like plus that I see the most and that I'm like the most relieved about is like the relationship aspect, bro. Like, I used to be, or I was so like tunnel visioned in on my life. Like, I did not give a fuck about anybody. I just, even if it was like my close friends, and you know me, like Luis, like you would text me and shit, and I'll get back to you when I get back to you. Like, I'm terrible at texting back. I'll reach out once in a while, but like, in my opinion, that is the one aspect I am the most like grateful to be getting better at. I am getting better at speaking about myself because like I was super uncomfortable speaking about myself because of ADHD.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some family issues there too, and how I was brought up. Like, I'm sure it's a mixture of both. But yeah, I had a super hard time opening up about myself, talking about myself, or any internal past things like that. And now that I'm taking like a stimulant, it makes me feel more present. It makes me feel like I'm more in the room rather than
That's awesome.
like in my own head, like thinking 10 things. Oh, these guys are thinking this. Like, these guys are like
you'll say
thinking this or that.
Yeah.
Or like you overthink something you said like 3 sentences ago. Like,
when nobody's thinking about it but
nobody's thinking about it but you. Like, and one other thing that makes me feel really good about it, dude, is like I feel like it makes me more present in my own relationship even. Like, and that, in my opinion, is like really exciting for me.
Which is something that you just can't substitute.
Because it was an issue that I had like in the past, man. Like, I wasn't as present as I should have been in a lot of like moments, and it's a terrible habit, dude. Like, it's just a terrible habit. It's not a good habit to have, and it makes me feel really good that I'm taking the issue head on. And I mean, to digress a little bit, to anybody who thinks like, oh, like it's like a big pharma thing and all that, like that was literally me. Like, that was me. And then the doctor's like, I mean, like you can say that, but like we've studied brains with ADHD and brains without, and you can tell them apart on a scan. Like, there's physiological differences to how your brains are made up.
Right.
It's not about what you think, it's about what the brain scan says, So it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking argue with that. You know, like I have strong opinions and stuff, but I am willing to change my mind on the evidence.
And ultimately, if you tried it and it didn't work, then you'd be like, all right, then it doesn't work.
Right.
Exactly.
Would you feel? I know you're saying stuff about when you were younger. Would you feel comfortable talking about like what you meant by that? Like what type of things you think caused that as like a younger, like low self-esteem?
What do you mean, like the?
I know you're talking about like you said something about
not being able to talk and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that has to do more with my family, like unit not being a tight family unit and a very cohesive family unit. Like, me having the exposure that I do now, I've been around, like I'm not gonna like, I guess out anybody who may not want to be outed, but I've been around other family units who seem much more cohesive as an adult, and I see the parents like speaking to the kids like every day, all day, like, how was your day, like this or that. And while I want to say that I had a good childhood and my parents did the best they could, I'm not gonna lie and say that they did those things as well, right? So I just grew up with like a very like stoic kind of like parents, almost. How was your day? Good. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, good.
I can.
Yeah, like almost. Not that they didn't care about me, but like they didn't 100%. Dig that deep. You know what I mean? Like, 100%. Did you do your homework? Yeah, I did it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna check anything. I'm not gonna call their email. Yeah. No, okay. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So like that was the reason why I say that my background was not that little like Mexican kid that's like, hey, ve a saludar y darle un beso a todo. Like, I wish that they were like that with me low key, but that wasn't it. You know, like
I get you.
They were more like, oh, you're okay, like everything's good, okay, like that's it. Like and at the time, like my parents had me at 18, 19, like so like they were kids raising kids, you know, like
it ultimately is gonna not work out.
100%. I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, I can relate to that 100%. Where you just have parents that are so caught up in their own shit that like you're like, yeah, man, I scored a goal today, and they're like, all right, did you guys lose? And they're like, well, yeah, and they're like, all right, well, that sucks. And like, damn, okay, well, fuck the performance then.
It's one of those things that just sounds like thinking about them now, like things like that where it's like, man, I shouldn't care about this. Like you don't like. But it meant the world when you were a kid. But at the moment, it meant a lot. Like now, you don't care. Like, and I feel like we all have stories like that. Like your parents may not have cared about your schoolwork or like maybe even how you were doing at times because you're just like, oh, he's fine. Like, and you might have something like where your parents didn't care about you, like you're saying soccer or whatever. Yeah. Like my same here. Like, just absent parents. Yeah. Like. They just were too caught up, or
and then they would go and they do just like stand with their crossed arms on the sideline, and you're like, well, no matter what I do, I'm not gonna fucking meet his expectations, so fuck it, I'll get a red card. You're like, all right, well, I might as well get sent off.
You got a story you guys know how much I love sports too. Like I played a lot of sports. And my father never been to any one of my sports events, not since I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I've done like I've played in big things. I played in like for club for all year round, like big things. But that's just it. Like at the time maybe it bothered me, but like now it's like I understand. You understand when you talk about it and people's like, hey, people go through stuff. They there's reasons for everything.
Yeah. No, 100%. Anything we want to get off our chest before we close this episode?
Do you guys want to talk about any
did.
childhood trauma that like?
I mean, I could.
I had something interesting that I thought was fun. I asked my mom, right?
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, what's your opinion on machismo and Hispanic culture and our culture in general? And I just asked her for her analysis on it in general. And I'm gonna paraphrase this because I obviously translated to English, but she went on to tell me that she believes that. In her opinion, women are programmed and made to think at a young age that they have to caretake for men and do a variety of things for them that may or may not be appreciated. These teachings go a long, long way. Some women do it to feel fulfilled and like they are, quote unquote, good wives.
Interesting.
So I want to get like your guys' opinion because I know we were gonna or we briefly mentioned machismo and that as a topic. So, you know, just to like bring that to the table. What do you guys think about that?
In what aspect exactly? Like in being like
Do you think that those are some societal norms that are reinforced on women and like young men?
I think
some
they were, but they are being less and less. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I think
That's true.
Especially people our age that are like raising kids.
Yeah.
You know, which because they are a lot now.
Dude,
And
your fucking daughter, she ain't gonna be like
I
that.
feel like it's almost. I feel like it's almost switched.
She ain't gonna
Like-
be like that.
I feel like a lot of
No.
women are in charge
Yeah.
now, like very, very vocal. And
Which
Yeah.
is good, and that shouldn't like affect men to be like,
no.
oh, women who have their shit together shouldn't be intimidating.
Yeah.
That should be like, holy shit, like she has her own job, she drives her own car, like she doesn't depend on mommy and daddy, like she's out there. You shouldn't be intimidated, like, oh, why would she want me when like, dude, people are people at the end of the day. Like no matter what they do for work or their job, like people want love. And if you come to the table and like, you're like, maybe you do make more money than me, maybe you do drive a nicer car than I do, but like, listen, I can still provide, like I can still like meet you on like halfway on a lot of stuff, like I can still help pay for dinner. And ultimately, like if you're just a good fucking guy who like has your shit together, and like you come to the table with like, hey, like this is how much I make, this is my credit score, and like
Communication.
yeah, just be honest.
Right.
Don't try to be like, yeah, you know, like I got a bonus and I'm making this much. It's like, you don't lie.
Yeah.
Just be yourself, and like someone's gonna love you.
And just communicate what you feel is good for a relationship, because I feel like that's key now. Like literally sit down with your partner and be like, hey, this is what I expect from you. You can tell me what you expect from me, and we can figure out how to make this, how to make this work. It's not like we have roles anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like,
No,
hey,
it's much more diluted
it's
now.
and it's way more like, but you need to be honest about what you expect from a person,
Yeah.
because you're only going to be set up for
Right. Because there could be a
For
lot of
failure.
expectations through like social media of like, oh, when he takes me out to
But
dinner.
there's only a few things
or,
that
like-
you really care about. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not
There's-
like
yeah.
it's not all that.
No, it's like,
Get down to the
Like,
root.
what are your
fuck
most
cares?
important factors for
Yeah.
you in your relationship? Figure that out with your partner.
Because
well, figure it out with yourself first.
Yeah,
Don't be told by
yeah.
someone like
Right.
you want a woman or you
Right.
want a man who does this
Right.
and this and this is like, no,
Uh-huh.
man, what do you want?
right.
You know, like what do you find achievable? Not find achievable. What do you find that's gonna like bring you happiness for the rest of your life?
And that's the thing, because I feel like that's what a lot of men and women cheat for, is because they're not receiving what they could have asked their partner for.
Yeah, when
Like-
in reality, their partner could have provided that all along.
They could have provided it all along. They just need to speak and have that type of standard, even if it is uncomfortable, because
Yeah,
it's you have to. It's a give and take. You have to do
Right.
things that you think may be shallow, or maybe, but that's just what would make that, what you like in yourself, and you have to be honest with that, because
Yeah.
it's only you're gonna find it somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
You're gonna find it somewhere else. Imagine if your girlfriend didn't dress, or like, I mean, I'm not trying to be a certain way, but like certain things where I think about is like you want, like one aspect of a relationship is like being attracted to your partner.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing is like when you cheat and you see all these shiny objects, it's like, well, maybe if your wife dressed up for you, or like,
Yeah.
push that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, be honest with it. It sounds shallow, but it's like that's the type of sacrifice you make. Like, and if she asks for something, like maybe you take her out to dinner twice a week instead of once a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that may sound shallow. You spend more money on her, but that's what makes her happy.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
maybe she wants you to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I
flowers.
think
Yeah.
at the
Those things out.
root of what you're saying is like communicate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like tell each other.
But and
Yeah.
don't be. But another thing is, don't be afraid to say the things that sound bad, because that's
Yeah.
how
It's
you
better to
feel.
say it bad once and be like, this is what I want.
Because that's how you feel. You
Then
know what I
in
mean?
like a year goes by
Mhm.
and you're like, this is why I did all this heinous acts.
Right. And I've seen relationships work, and people that I've learned, like, one thing I take from now is like I do speak to, for example, like my father a lot more about like relationship stuff, just how
Yeah.
he handles things with his wife, and some of it makes sense in what's worked, because he's had a lot of bad ones, but he's like, hey, I found what works for me, and it was this. It was like, I'm very open with her. He's like, this is my wife. He's like, what you provide, I need you to provide this, and if you don't, then that's what I need from you.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
tell me what you need from me. And one of them, I remember one of them, he did say it sounded shallow. He's like, I don't want you to, like, I don't want to come home and you have you dressed up in like sweatpants all the time and not be like excited for me
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's like, I can understand that. I know it sounds shallow and bad, but it's like, it's the truth of things at times.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, if you see your partner only at home for a few hours, you don't want your only impression of them to be, in an oversized T-shirt and oversized.
That's just an example.
I get what
I'm
you're
not saying
right.
that it's like that's everybody and that's what everybody looks for, but I'm saying just as a shallow example.
He was being clear about his wants and dislikes, and at the end of the day, they're both being open.
Right, and I feel like that takes away from the machismo. It's back to the main parts. Like that takes away from your machismo roles and what is expected from a woman, because everybody has different expectations. And just be open with those expectations to make those things.
Homie, on our freaking group chat, like phone call, what were you gonna say?
About what?
Because I remember you were gonna bring something up about our relationships or something, and that you were like, oh, you know what? I have to mention this to you about. You don't remember that?
I do, but I don't remember what I was on.
Because I remember you wanted to say, like, oh, I have to tell you this, Juan, because I feel this way about your relationship, but never mind, I'm going to bring it up for the podcast.
I completely forgot. I know what you're talking about, though.
I remember you said that.
If I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I was just curious. I'd been thinking about it. I was like, what the fuck is this dude going to tell me?
What is this dude? That's funny. But yeah, man. Definitely.
No, it's definitely about being like sacrificial as well. Like making sure that you're there for them emotionally and physically as much as possible. Because like with me, my biggest issue is like just not being fucking like there present, just like being in my brain. And like most women want just like, bro, are you fucking listening to them? Like, are you just like, obviously some people, it goes relationship to relationship, but it's just like, yeah, you could be there physically next to them and just be on your phone and just be like fucking around.
Yeah, but it's about being present.
Yeah, because that's that's something that I feel like I can definitely work on more. It's like just like, hey, how are you? Right. Which being honest, being open, talking about it, and just like maybe that's something that they want more than you. Because for us, it's different because we'll just focus on one fucking article and then we'll just like do a rabbit hole on why the U.S. invaded Nicaragua in 1980. And you're all of a sudden you're like,
where
okay,
my knee car's at.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, all right,
what'd you say? Where my what at?
Knee car's at.
And you're like, fuck, is QAnon real?
I didn't know if you said Sandinista or Contras. I thought you said that.
No, so yeah, man,
it's from
Theo Von.
You ever seen that? Hell no. He's like, he talks about to this guy. He's like, yeah, my dad's half Nicaraguan. He's like, you're half Nicaraguan. He's like, yeah. He's like,
no wonder I like Theo Von.
He's like, where?
He's got that little flair to him.
Flavor,
yeah, he's got a little flavor to him. Yeah.
He's like, where's all my Nick cars at?
Dude, he's funny. I like him.
He's funny guy. But
he's got a special on Netflix. Go check it out.
It's actually pretty bad. I love Theo Von, but the special
was not good.
Oh, it's not that good.
It was not.
I listened to the first 10 minutes and I'm like,
it's bad, bro.
Dude,
it's not funny.
Before we end up closing up the podcast,
we'll be closing soon.
I did want to low-key bring up about, did you guys have a chance to look at that article I sent you on the whole plastics? And
yes, I did read the whole thing.
It?
I did read the whole thing.
Did you?
I was kind of confused by it. So the article that Juan is referencing is an article by Sarah, what's her name?
I'm not sure. It's an article. The title is called Male Sperm Count and Plastic. It's an article on The Intercept. I don't remember the name of the author right now, but essentially it's a short little summary of Dr. Shauna Swan, who is a senior author of a study who conducted a meta-study of 185 studies, wow, say that fast, involving 43,000 women or men that found that total sperm fell between 59% from the years 1973 and 2011. So that's just like a thing that's been out in the news a lot about how
Shauna Swan was the
about how male sperm count and testosterone in general has been dropping, like essentially for the whole global male population. And I just wanted to bring that up about what you guys think about it, whether you guys think it has anything to do with our conversations today. Because like she talked about how men who suffer from this phthalate, I guess you could say contact as they were developing, are way more likely to be anxious and depressed.
Yeah, because she talks about like specifically like stuff that's made with like the chemical that comes off of plastic.
Yeah,
and that's where this is coming from. So I mean, everything comes in fucking plastic now.
Yeah, that's her point, dude.
So it's
why do we think that the sperm count is dropping globally?
So it's like, if that's truly the case, if like that's what we're pinpointing, then we should stop making shit. I mean,
gasoline used to be leaded.
Yeah.
Gasoline used to make you dumber. Literally, all over the world. There's a reason why it's called unleaded gasoline. Because the shit, the shit that they used to make used to have lead in it, and you would breathe it in, and you were more likely to have Alzheimer's at a younger age. It would drop your IQ points.
No one is called unleaded.
Damn, bro, I'm about to cut all the sides off my queso fresco.
Yeah, literally, bro. Because everything comes out plastic, dude. Everything, like, even the vitamins that you take for testosterone is in a plastic container.
Yeah,
like, dude, because if you take, like, I take ashwagandha root and like pygium, which like are supposed to help, like fish oil, zinc, vitamin D3, like all that's supposed to help with like testosterone. But if all that stuff is in plastic and in plastic capsules, then what's the point?
The stop drinking water bottles, start drinking wine bottles.
Yeah, exactly. Low key, some of the
cans.
The biggest problems that she was talking about were water bottles and to-go containers.
Stop buying those water bottles.
I'm gonna stop buying water.
And soft plastic.
Box water only.
Like soft plastic wrap or any sort of plastic like that. Those are the ones that leach the most into foods.
So like, what about plastic containers that like Tupperware? Like, stop using those. Use glass only.
Yeah, literally.
I'm gonna throw them all away.
Literally, she was talking about don't ever put anything plastic in the microwave.
Honey, we're throwing away all our plastic containers. We're throwing away all our plastic containers.
The fuck you are?
She's
I'm throwing away all the plastic containers.
Are you gonna pay for it?
Yeah. Okay. Love you.
I love that she doesn't question it. She trusts you.
Alright, I'll help you right now.
Just listen to the episode.
They have a good reason for it.
Whatever they're on, whatever. Yeah, that means that we just stop eating shit in plastic.
Yeah.
Stop putting shit in plastic in the microwave.
Right.
Yeah, those are like some of.
That's so bad for you, bro.
Those are some of the worst.
I have glass containers,
ones,
but I just don't have enough of them.
Yeah, it literally sucks to.
Should I just wrap shit in aluminum foil and throw that in the microwave?
Yeah, that's what you should do.
I mean, there's no plastic on that.
Makes sense with me.
It's metal.
Let me know how that goes.
Just put two plates on top of each other.
That's not a bad idea, though.
Wrap that up in aluminum foil.
Wrap it up in aluminum.
And then take that to work. Like, what is this guy doing? This guy on drugs?
Oh, man.
But no, I mean, it's for my testosterone. I don't want it to go down. trying to keep a healthy.
They'll understand, right?
Trying to keep my tea up.
Yeah, trying to keep where your T levels be. Okay.
I guess to finish up with like that topic.
Yeah.
In 2017, Dr. Shauna Swan documented how average sperm counts among Western men have more than halved in 40 years.
And Western? Damn,
yeah.
That's me.
And she goes on to predict that by 2045, most couples may need to use assisted reproduction.
Wow.
What?
So like I know like low key it's
on purpose, bro. So
I know low key people think it's a funny thing. You know we're making fun of it a little bit, but at the end of the day, like I mean it is kind of like a serious subject that
I don't know
affects
if like that,
a lot of people.
Obviously, like causation does not equal correlation, and vice versa. But like there have been less and less kids being born in the last 10 years. Like it's a fact. And like, you know, single kids are more and more like common, like just like no brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that also has to do with it. Like,
yeah,
maybe before they were just so reproductive because there was less shit in plastic. So like, oh fuck, like she's pregnant now. Yeah. Whereas now, like, obviously, like there's a lot more not abstinence, but what's the other like
birth control. Yeah, I would say like
a
reproductive choice. Like you get to actually choose.
Right.
You know?
So there's probably that and
contraceptive.
Yeah, contraception. Yeah. That's probably the word.
Maybe you are nutting in her, but like your sperm is so weak that it's like not making the trip.
It's not making it all the way up.
No, it's like fuck.
Those swimmers aren't swimming like Michael Phelps.
They're like, hey, bro, like if we're in the shower, we're good. We'll swim to the bottom because we got assistance. But yeah, maybe.
Bro, gravity.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
You gotta start using gravity.
Yeah,
you gotta start having sex upside down.
Dude, that would make more sense.
For example, like this interview with Dr. Shauna Swan, and one of the questions that she had, she mentioned how essentially women's grandmothers today in many countries would have been more fertile at age 35 than a lot of young women are today.
Wow.
Yeah, so like,
jeez.
It's affected man and woman?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep, completely. So it's just
might have a point.
Yeah,
it's just like a little thing that's hardly talked about. I like you guys being who you are, you know, being kind of, you're like a really big health guy, right?
I try to be. Yeah.
So I would consider you like in the know on a lot of things. I assume that you read a lot about.
I have no idea about this though.
Yeah, so that caught me off guard.
Yeah,
like,
I know about this. Either.
And you too, because like you're in physical sciences, quite literally in the sciences of like the human body. I would think that at some point it might have like run across your vision
trying to get my T levels
like
up. Dude, I take everything that I can. I'm like, dude, I
know, and that's why I knew that
less
you would be interested in the subject.
What?
Huh?
Nah, but that's impossible. You can't let those spirits, that devil inside you. You need to let it out.
Man.
It's gonna clog you up.
You need to be clogged up.
Are you talking about lactose?
No, we're talking about like not masturbating, which is another thing that men.
I was telling you we shouldn't masturbate as much.
Men have an issue with is like porn addiction.
Yeah, it'll bring up your testosterone.
Yeah, just don't masturbate. Yeah, it's actually really helpful. Men who watch porn on a weekly basis, that's actually an addiction, and that's actually bad.
Damn.
Other mental health tip.
We all looked at George at the same time.
What are you talking about? We all looked at Luis at the same time. He's lying.
We're all looking at each other at the same time.
Pop open his browser history.
Control H, Control A, delete.
How do you do it?
Midget porn pegging. You just see shit like that.
Control H. Beautiful, man. That was a really good emotional podcast. I'm glad we opened up about a lot of stuff, and
there's a little bit of good amount of trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want some more trauma, we definitely have more in the books.
Oh
we
my
can get
god!
into
Should we just touch this episode again?
We can
Fuck
plan
it.
this episode.
Next episode again next week,
and we'll really get into deep stories of our real childhood trauma.
All right,
I disagree. I'm gonna try to make them change their mind.
Look, Juan might not be attending us, but
all right, next week we go even deeper on the trauma. With that being said, any closing statements? We'll start with Juan.
You know what? How about we start with you today, Luis?
Start with me. Yeah, man. Go watch Narcos season 3. Tell me what you think. Comment down below what you thought about. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Leave a review. And more importantly, go to therapy. Seek psychiatric help. Your issues are important to you, and the most important thing is hitting them face on and stop letting that shit eat you from the inside out.
That was beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, no, guys, definitely stay on top of it. Be open. Be vulnerable. It's all right. We're all human.
Yeah.
We're all same. We're all trying to make it to the end. We're all trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah, it's not a race.
So let's get there all together.
100%. Juan, bring it home.
Bet. Well, I want to give a recommendation. Anybody who hasn't seen the show on Hulu, Dope Sick, should low key check it out. It's a really fun, or not fun, terrible word for that. It's a really good watch. It's a drama that's based on real life events, but it's dramatized in a really good way, where it's super entertaining. You don't even feel like you're watching anything that's based on real life, but it's fucking crazy good. It just shows how big business can sometimes bully regulators around to let them do what they do. But it's a great show based on the opioid epidemic, something we lightly touched on today, not really. In addition to that, though, I would say let us know in the comments what you think about the Travis Scott, Aaron Rodgers situation. Who do you think holds more responsibility? Whether you think Travis Scott holds the majority of the responsibility, or whether you think the operations team he was working with, the security team he was working with. Also, while you're at it, let us know whether you think Aaron Rodgers is a Karen or a lying little bitch.
Karen Rodgers.
Let us know. Please drop that comment on our Facebook page. Give us the frickin' engagement. It's good for the algorithm. I am not above saying those things out loud.
No, for sure.
Let them have it.
And the other thing too is, if you wanna, and for you too in the room, go watch Midnight Gospel. on Netflix. It's a fantastic narrative / cartoon that took Duncan Trussell and real life conversations that he had with real people. Jeez. And I've seen it.
Doesn't he have another show?
Midnight Gospel is the one on Netflix, and it's the kind of animated one.
Okay.
It's really short. It's like 10 episodes, 30 minutes each.
I've been recommended that one in the past by a good friend named Luis, funny enough.
It broke me down in like 3 episodes where he... Because just watch it.
Just watch it.
Dude, it like...
What would you say is the theme of the show, though? Like,
self-evaluation. And like...
Doesn't sound like a lot of other
health.
shows. Would you say it's a pretty unique watch?
It's very unique because the animation, it's like animated. It was animated and created by the same guy that made Adventure Time.
Like Black Mirror?
No, it's like, dude, every episode is like...
That's really self-analyzation.
That is very self-analyzation. But
Yeah.
this is just like... The cartoon that's going on in the background is kind of like, oh, that's interesting and that's kind of funny. But then the conversation they're having, you're just like, oh, geez, this is like a really deep topic. And the cartoon is kind of just like a depiction of like what goes on in the mental brain. And yeah, no, I really recommend Midnight Gospel. And if you have trouble thinking about, oh, do other people have these thoughts, watch that and you'll realize like it's a lot more common than you think.
Watch it on a slight dose of psilocybin while you're at it.
I would not recommend watching that show drunk or high. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening to another episode, and we'll see you
Fuck Ronald Reagan.
next week.